It is 11:14 tonight. You stare at a blank screen. The cursor blinks in the dark, mocking you, mocking your inability to write. You need to write one sentence, just one. You possess a required time, but your heavy hand will not move. A physical weight settles behind your eyes. Your vision narrows into a tight tunnel. You interpret this feeling as personal laziness. You are entirely misreading your biology. This sensation is not a desire failure. It is a physical, neurological blockade. The biological seat of your identity just died. Your prefrontal cortex initiated a hostile takeover. Society sold you a comforting lie. Willpower is supposedly a moral virtue. Discipline is considered a fixed character trait. When you fail, you are weak. That is not what actually happened. The research reveals a darker reality. Willpower is not a moral virtue. It is a finite biological resource. You heard it runs on sugar, that your prefrontal cortex supposedly starves and you lose all control. A massive meta-analysis completely destroyed this. The glucose hypothesis completely fell apart. Scientists found no robust link. Your brain does not shut down. Your fuel tank is completely full. Your brain simply decided you're worthless. The horror is a deliberate neurological strike. You must look inside your tissue. Miriam Bob published a landmark study. She tracked the living brain during long labor using magnetic resonance spectroscopy. She watched the chemistry change in real time. High concentrations turn it into a neural poison. After hours of work, levels spiked. Glutamate rose by exactly 8%. That tiny shift alters your mind. Cognitive control becomes biologically expensive. Your brain must work much harder. You are drowning in chemical exhaust. Every focus session poisons your pathways. The brain detects this rising toxicity. It initiates a strict defensive protocol. You feel a heavy chest pressure. Your breathing becomes shallow and rapid. Your pupils dilate in the dim light. This is not a psychological reaction. This is a measurable physiological state. Your body prepares for a physical threat, but the threat is entirely internal. Your nervous system misreads the chemical signal. It triggers a full fight or flight response. You feel an urge to run away. The physical symptoms are completely real, but the danger entirely fabricated. Your brain is reacting to its own toxicity. It treats your own thoughts as poison. This brings you to your surrender. The Paris Brain Institute mapped it. The neural circuitry of delay. Your anterior cingulate cortex runs calculations. It weighs the effort of tasks. It constantly evaluates the expected reward. Delayed rewards make the value collapse. The brain applies a brutal penalty. This mathematical penalty is called discounting. The effort remains incredibly high. The payoff collapses to near zero. Your brain looks at the spreadsheet. It chooses the easiest metabolic path. You feel this as sudden laziness, but it is actually a neurological blockade. Your internal accountant just rejected it. Amitai Shinhuv established this in 2013. He studied the anterior cingulate cortex. It acts as an effort calculator. It weighs metabolic costs against reward. When you stare at a difficult problem, this region is not struggling to solve it. It is calculating the caloric price. If the cost is too high, it sends an inhibitory signal. It aborts the action entirely. You feel this as resistance. You feel it as procrastination. But your brain is not failing. It is successfully calculating the metabolic price. The science became much more precise. A new psychiatric study pinned it down. Researchers tracked frontal cortex metabolites. They predicted mental effort accurately. They found a non-linear relationship. It forms an inverted U-shape. There is a sweet spot for pushing. You can push through initial buildup. The brain tolerates a certain toxicity. You can feel the intense burn, but there is a hard cliff. Lactate crosses a specific tipping point. The metabolic cost of effort skyrockets. The brain refuses to negotiate further. It sends inhibitory motor signals. It physically blocks new action initiation. The brain does not gradually tire. It hits a biochemical wall. You sit in your chair screaming. The bridge to action is severed. This is when you grab it. You open a brand new tab. It is an emergency chemical override. Glutamate accumulation shifts your blood flow. Resources leave the prefrontal cortex. The physical hardware for focus shuts down. The cockpit of your mind is empty. You still believe you're in charge. You still believe you have free will. But the illusion is rapidly breaking down. A primitive algorithm makes the decisions. It scans for the easiest path. It finds the easiest source of dopamine, a sugary snack, or a mindless video. The shift is not gradual at all. It is a hard neurological handover. One moment, you are the executive. Then, you are just a passenger. You're driven by a chemical imperative. It only cares about the next 10 seconds. The primitive brain does not care about tomorrow. It demands immediate gratification right now. You watch yourself make terrible choices. You are a prisoner in your own skull. Why does your brain betray you? The ancient world was completely different. Your ancestors did not stare at screens. They needed to conserve precious calories. Abstract thought was a dangerous luxury. Deep thinking was a lethal risk. The brain evolved to be efficient. It automated behaviors into autopilot. It runs habits to save vital energy. You are fighting deep evolution. You're asking a Pleistocene engine to run. It cannot sustain this heavy load. Your brain views work as danger. It views your workday as an emergency. It pulls the alarm to keep you alive. Now look at the modern world. The attention economy exploits this vulnerability. Every notification triggers a massive dopamine release. It bypasses the prefrontal cortex entirely. It offers high rewards for zero cost. You are trying to run marathons. You're fighting an algorithmic predator. It knows your exact neurological frequency. Your device offers endless digital calories. The supercomputer always wins the fight. It whispers to your basal ganglia. Your exhausted cortex is too weak. You lack no discipline at all. You're fighting a hijacking supercomputer. The algorithm knows your exact breaking point. It feeds you cheap dopamine right then. Your phone isn't distracting you because it's fun. It's distracting you because your exhausted brain is literally hallucinating a survival threat. A single notification drops your effective IQ. Deep thought becomes biologically impossible. The damage is deeply structural now. It is not just behavioral at all. Chronic overload alters your brain. Chronic stress physically alters your structure. Connor Liston proved this in 2006. He scanned the brains of stressed subjects. He watched the physical tissue wither. The flooded prefrontal dendrites literally shrink. The amygdala fear center grows larger. You are literally rewiring your own neuroanatomy. Their working brain is starved. The scrolling brain is flooded with dopamine. It is a silent biological coup. This brings you to a realization. It is a deeply uncomfortable realization. Moral failure is a biological fiction. Guilt is a misfiring social construct. The guilt you feel is a misfire. Society built a punishing system. Society punishes basic human biology. The brain only understands chemistry. The brain only understands pure survival. You are a biological machine. You operate within strict limits. You operate within strict neurochemical limits. The next time you sit alone, feel that heavy resistance. Do not call it weakness. Do not call it personal laziness. Recognize the quiet hum of survival. Your brain is doing its job. It is trying to keep you alive. The screen glows in the dark. The cursor blinks slowly. You know this feeling now? It is glutamate poisoning your pathways. Knowing this is not enough. You need actual weapons. Science has found them. Real ones. Proven ones. Dr. Faye Begeti stared at this problem. She worked from her lab at Oxford. She saw patients who could not start. She saw the same struggle in herself. She designed a simple counterattack. 5 minutes. Tell yourself, I'll do this for exactly 5 minutes and then I'll stop. Your anterior cingulate cortex calculates the cost. It sees a mountain and panics, but 5 minutes is not a mountain. It is a pebble. The cost calculation drops to 0. After 5 minutes, your brain keeps going. The resistance collapses entirely. She wrote about this in The Phone Fix, published in 2024. She calls it behavioral activation. Action creates motivation. Motivation never creates action. Dr. Katie Milkman from Wharton studied a different angle. She published How to Change in 2021. She found something that works wonders. Pair a hard task with a guilty pleasure. Listen to your favorite podcast only while working. Watch that silly video only after writing. Your basal ganglia makes the connection automatically. Work becomes a gateway to fun. The resistance melts away completely. This is temptation bundling. It is classical conditioning in action. You stop fighting yourself. Your biology is not your enemy. It kept your ancestors alive. Now, you must translate for it. Start your hardest task early. Use the 5-minute rule. Rest without your phone. Remove temptations from your space. Forgive every single slip. Try again tomorrow. You're not broken. You're fighting an ancient brain. You have modern tools now. You know the tools. Science says you can do this. Prove it to yourself. Start now.